We now have the first duet from DP1, Aditya Badrinarayan and President Kahir Jomraj, who will take us on another journey to somewhere very uncharted.
Kahir, you're on mute.
Yeah, one second. Yeah, my bad. Good afternoon. We're going to take you on a 10-minute trip to 72% of the planet. So buckle up, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to immerse ourselves in this world. Now, every single one of us lives on planet Earth. We also call it home. It's the only place we've ever known, having resided here for all of our existence. So naturally, we know our home, right? Well, here is a picture of our home. It's covered by water. In fact, 70% of our planet is covered with this water, an average depth of 3.2 kilometers. Now you can say, hey, I know Earth. I live there. You don't know Earth. You don't know this place you call your home. We've all often heard the saying, humans are explorers. But sometimes the world may seem boring. We've explored all the remote desert islands, conquered the freezing Arctic, and set up shop in the deepest of jungles. But there's one place that has eluded us. It's a wet and freezing desert, home to mysterious creatures living in solitude with complete darkness, the deep sea. So let's dive down. Now, we've only explored about 5% of the oceans. One can easily consider this a negligible amount. We've barely peeked behind the curtain of this magnificent yet terrifying part of our home.
Here's something you might not have known. Around 80% of volcanoes are found at the bottom of the sea. In these places, we can even find fire. Yup, actual fire. The ocean floor is literally molten here. You might think there is absolutely no chance that life can survive here. But even in the most impossible of places, life can be found. It really makes you think about how life is able to adapt and evolve. When one views the sheer size of all of our oceans, it'd be absurd to believe that less than 2% of the Earth's biomass lives in it. Absurd yet true, with 90% of that 2% near the surface of the oceans. So let's start here. Here, near the surface, because of the abundance of light, we can see photosynthesis, phytoplankton, algae, and tons of friendly looking fish. We can fish here, swim, and everything sounds harmless. So let's swim deeper.
As we start the descent, we're eventually met with the continental slope. Every passing second descending, the light drastically reduces, devoid of any plants, home to sharks and other dangerous creatures. Now let's swim deeper again. And here we enter the twilight zone, the gateway to the deep sea. From here on, we start seeing interesting creatures. Moreover, the water pressure rises to lethal levels. For context, the deepest scuba dive ever was till 332 meters. That may not seem like a lot, but the pressure here, this deep, is like having a car on top of you. My bad. Did I say one car? I meant 200 cars stacked up on top of you.
Yet, we're only 3% into our journey. So let's dive deeper. Here, in between the twilight zone and the deep sea, due to the almost complete absence of light, good vision is a powerful tool, with over 90% of species at this level developing bioluminescence to survive, like the larval fish here. Every time we go into the ocean with our submarines and robots and all our fancy technology, we see something that surprises us. Oftentimes it startles us, but sometimes it's revolutionary. Even deeper, at 700 meters, species here rely on something weird, marine snow. Flaky white remnants of plants, animals, fecal matter, sand, and other stuff. Whilst this may sound repulsive, it's a crucial source of food for most of the organisms here to survive. Here is where two fascinating creatures frequently battle, sperm whales and giant squid. While sperm whales almost always triumph, these giant squids, usually the size of an entire house, leave permanent scars on the sperm whale.
Our understanding of what goes on in the ocean is mundane and extremely limited. Here's an example. What you see here looks like a normal picture. But wait, there's a distinct body of water at the bottom. Well, that's actually a river in the ocean. Yes, you heard me right, a river under the ocean, a pathway of water existing inside a larger body of water. It simply defies our understanding of our planet. Here's another example. This map right here, denoted by the dark lines, shows that in the middle of this ocean is a mountain range. Yes, an entire mountain range. I mean, this is just getting out of hand. Like a mountain range like the Alps or the Himalayas under the water. Truly fascinating, isn't it? It's called the Mid-Ocean Ridge and is about 80,000 kilometers long. Yet we've barely even explored it.
Deeper, at 1,000 meters, we face a barren, black, seemingly desolate wasteland, barely explored. This is the midnight zone. At these depths, it's easier to walk in space than to swim here. Due to the lack of food, organisms adapt to become energy efficient. And for that reason, you don't have photosynthesis in the deep sea. And with the absence of photosynthesis, you have no plant life. And as a result, you have very little animal life living in this underworld. Or so you might have thought. You'd say nothing could live here, but when we look in detail, even there, in the deepest, darkest places on Earth, we find life, which tells us that life really wants to happen. So, pretty amazing stuff. Every time we go to the bottom of the sea, we explore with our submarines, with our robots, and we see something that's usually surprising. Sometimes it's startling and sometimes revolutionary. How? How is any of this possible?
A bacterium has figured out how to replicate photosynthesis in the dark through a process we now call chemosynthesis. It's a conversion of one or more carbon containing molecules and nutrients into organic matter using the oxidation of inorganic compounds or ferrous ions as a source of energy rather than sunlight as in photosynthesis. Fish that also happen to live in these deep seas have evolved to feed on these bacteria, creating a food chain and ecosystem. Yeah, and we have this guy right here, Vampirothetus infernalis, the vampire squid. Incredibly cool. In the darkness of the deep sea, he's got glowing tentacles. If I'm coming at you like him, I put my arms out in the darkness. So all you see are little glowing things over here. Meanwhile, I'm coming at you. When he wants to escape, he's got these glowing pods on his rear that look like eyes. Glowing eyes on his rear. Now, how cool is that? Just an amazing animal. Also, vampire squid, because when it gets protective, it pulls this black cape over its whole body and curls up into a ball. Outrageous animal. Or the frilled shark with a set of 300 teeth curved backwards to hook their prey, saving them energy.
Under the ocean, we find mountain ranges, valleys, and caves. We can find rivers, lakes, and even waterfalls. The largest waterfall on our planet is actually underwater, near Iceland. And remember, all of this is still part of the 5% that we have explored. You might be wondering why it's at such a low amount. Well, to explore, it requires technology. Not just any technology, but really expensive and high quality technology. At 4,000 meters, a truly abyssal depth, life is in slow motion to save energy. We finally reach ground again, meeting the abyssal plain. We can find mineral deposits here, like manganese nodules. In valleys where tectonic plates are splitting apart, magma creates scorching jet of water at around 400 degrees Celsius.
Even at 6,000 meters, we're only halfway to the bottom. Every meter down we go, we see new creatures, learn more about our home. The information is unlimited and right there for the taking. And of course, we can't just capture these creatures and study them on the surface. That would defeat the whole purpose of exploration. We would not be learning about the environment, but imposing our own environment on them. Thus, we must take careful recordings and pictures of these creatures. This is a part of the reason why you see sightings of strange creatures documented so very rarely. Now, at around 8,000 meters, we find the deepest recorded living fish, the ethereal snailfish, a hauntingly beautiful creature. We even find hot springs deep here. Now, this water is poisonous due to certain chemicals in the hot spring. And the pressures of water here are crushing, the same way you'd crush an empty plastic bottle after finishing it. With the same ease, a ship or even a submarine could be crushed. This is why any vessels heading to deep sea require several layers of fortifications to withstand these tremendous pressures. But even here, we can find life, like microbes. And now we reach the end point, the final slope, a trench lying inside the Mariana Trench.
This is it, the deepest point of the ocean known to us, the Challenger Deep, 11,000 meters below sea level. Swimming here is like having 1,800 elephants on top of you. But even here, we can find life, like sea cucumbers. The area seems almost frozen in time. peaceful, and silent. Sadly, even the most remote places have been negatively impacted by human activities, as scientists found a plastic bag present at the bottom of the trench in 2018. Now, before we run out of oxygen, let's all ascend back up to the surface, completing a mystical adventure. So here's the bottom line. We have not explored our oceans, and it really is important that we do so. Around 7 billion people live on this blue planet, and every single one of us are directly and heavily impacted by the ocean. It controls the air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink, everything essential for the existence of our species. Our oceans are unfathomably deep, strange, largely unexplored, with so many wonders left to be discovered. But the human driven nature of exploration will always prevail, and so it is also our duty to preserve and protect them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aditya and Kahir, for the wonderful presentation. I'm sure you would have a lot of people appreciate your talk.